How many of you have planned a school year only to find like maybe a few weeks in or halfway through the year like you need to change some things? I'm going to give you an update on what's been going on in our school year, what has worked, what maybe needed some tweaking, and that's what we're going to talk about. So my name is Rachel. If you are new to my channel, I am a homeschooling mom of 7 years, and my youngest is 8. I also have a 12-year-old, and my oldest is almost 15, and he is in high school this year. On my channel, you know I do lots of curriculum reviews, lots of homeschool help. That's what I am here for, because I know when I was a new homeschooler, I needed answers. And even my friends who homeschooled, they didn't always have the same age of kids as me. Maybe they didn't have, their just family dynamic was different. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a different perspective, and those are the types of videos that I am trying to make for you. I also will do a few just homemaking type stuff, but all of it, I try to add a little bit of humor and a little bit of fun, because we all like to laugh, right?
I know I do. And
I love it if I can make you all laugh. So thank you for many of your kind comments through the years to encourage me in that. I'm so glad that you found me. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna start with my second grader. Everything is going really well with her. We are loving the good and the beautiful language arts. She is still doing Singapore math and breezing through it. I'm telling you, like, she's almost to 4th grade math now. And so some of you who, if maybe you've watched my classical conversations videos that I just recently did, I got a few comments about memory work and how random it was. I just want to tell you, one of the things that classical conversations, bits of memory work, is skip counting. If my daughter didn't already know all of those skip counting songs, she would be taking longer in her math right now. But because of classical conversations, my second grader already knew all of her multiplication tables. So by the time we got to that part in her 3rd grade math, she was breezing right through it. She's going to be in 4th grade math maybe by the end of the year with Singapore. So that is just going very well. I highly recommend Singapore math. Check out this math comparison video if you haven't already for more details about that and some of these other curriculums. One thing that Singapore math does not do, and there are lots of math curriculums that don't do this, and that's prompt you to practice your math drills, because even though my little one, she can skip count. So like if I say, what's 8 times 4? She will sit there and she'll skip count in her head and go 32. It's fine for now that when she's 8, but taking this long, say when you're in 6th grade, she's got to be quicker. So we need to drill those facts. So how do we do that? If you are interested in how I add this, because we do it like all kinds of fun ways. I don't just hand them worksheets and say, here, I'm going to time you for a minute on your math facts, or I don't just do the flashcards. We do all kinds of things to drill the math. Again, not every curriculum is going to prompt you for that, but it's really important that your children are able to see a math problem, 6 times 7, and immediately know that's 42 without having to think about it. Because as you get longer, as you get into high school math, you don't want them to have to still be thinking about that. Their math is going to get so much more complex. Those need to be quick. So let me know below if that is something, a video that you would like to know how to creatively drill the math facts. I also will have a video coming up sometime, hopefully sooner than later, where I'm going to be comparing the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts 1 with Master Books Language Arts 1. So now I've had experience with both. I did do a curriculum comparison about Master Books versus the Good and the Beautiful, but it was like comparing 4th, 5th, and 6th grade language arts. The things to compare for this level 1 are a little bit different. So I am going to do a separate comparison video for that coming up soon. For my 6th grader, I am enjoying the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts, and actually it's working out pretty good for her spelling. That was one thing that I didn't know about, because if you saw my videos from last year where we had to do a separate spelling curriculum because Master Books really wasn't meeting our needs for the spelling parts. But I wanted to try the Good and the Beautiful spelling this year and see how it would work together, and it's working pretty well. It's working very well. I'm very pleased. I like the way that they drill the spelling words. I like the different creative ways to practice that. I really like that. There is one thing though in the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts that I'm kind of questioning, and that's how they teach the process of writing. If you saw my IEW versus Lost Tools of Writing video, I'm very well versed in IEW and how it teaches the process, and I really like that. IEW teaches easy plus one, so it gives you one element, you practice it, and then you add on another one. And it's a little bit different than how I'm noticing how The Good and the Beautiful teaches writing, and it's confusing my daughter a little bit. Like the way that The Good and the Beautiful teaches writing, it's not clicking with her. I'm thinking that I am going to somehow weave IEW in with her. I am trained in IEW, I've done it before, so I know how I could do this. Here's where I'm going with that. If you saw some of my videos from this summer, I recorded a lot of my curriculum choices video before I went to the homeschool conference. And when I went to the homeschool conference, it was like I had an epiphany. Like I'm kind of making myself a servant to the curriculum rather than using the curriculum as a tool for what I need. And so I kind of had this revelation after I had already chosen all of our things. But I've held on to that this year, and so my year hasn't gone exactly how I had planned it in the videos that I had given to you at the beginning of the year, because it has just been a very enlightening year, to be honest. Like, I am not concerned if I finish a curriculum by the end of the year, because the fact of the matter is I'm doing work with my child every day, and we're pausing when we need to pause, and we're digging deeper as they need it, which is the beauty of homeschool, right? Like in a regular school, they would just keep moving ahead whether or not your child got it or not. I don't have to do that. But I also don't have to feel stressed if my daughter does not finish her language arts from The Good and the Beautiful this year. So I can weave in IEW where I see gaps in her knowledge, and we can focus in on those gaps. And that's what I plan to do. I'm not sure, I need to kind of look ahead at The Good and the Beautiful 4, see where it ends. I might download The Good and the Beautiful 5 grammar next year and maybe do something different with her writing. I'm kind of just thinking through this right now, how I want to do this. But I just want to encourage you all again, like the curriculum is a tool for you. So in my head, I have the goals for my children, and I am checking off those goals and those skills that they need to learn and picking and choosing the curriculum as I need to use it. So if you saw my video also for creating my own history curriculum, you saw kind of where I was starting to rethink how I was going to use curriculum in that way. So how has history gone? It has been so enjoyable to think about doing history the way that we want to do it and following their interests. I will say what I had planned out for history, I knew it was a lot. I knew it was going to be a lot to tackle, and I knew it was probably not going to happen, all of that stuff, and I was right. We did a lot of the Pioneers and Patriot book. We read through a lot of that, and then I started reading The Witch of Blackbird Pond, which was taking me, minutes-wise, it was taking me a little bit longer just to read one chapter than I had expected. We did a few timeline elements based on The Witch of Blackbird Pond. I bought this map where anytime, whether it was through history or whether it was through science or geography or whatever else, we were scratching off countries that we had already learned about. So that kind of was a little extra thing I added. But then when the new year came, because we hadn't really gone through history in the way that I thought we were, but my daughters were enjoying it, which was that's all I can ask, right? I was trying to whet their appetite to learn more history, because at the beginning of the year they were not interested at all. So I had whet their appetite, but we had only gotten as far as we were just up to the 1700s. That is not where I thought we would be. We hadn't even gotten to the Revolutionary War yet. So here's the great irony. If you watched my history curriculum video, I had bought The Good and the Beautiful history, and I had said that I wasn't really super excited about using it, but I set it aside. I picked it back up. But I did not pick it back up and start from the beginning, you guys, because we are learning about American history this year. So I picked up The Good and the Beautiful history curriculum that I had already purchased, and we are just doing the American history portion of it. And so we're just kind of testing it out to see what we like about it. One of the things that I think kind of made me question The Good and the Beautiful history portion was that it has a unit on ancient history, it has a unit of medieval type history, and then a unit on American history, and then the fourth unit is modern world history. I wasn't sure if I would want to skip from time period to time period to time period. That may be part of what I wasn't excited about. Also, I didn't know that I wanted to complete the whole curriculum in 1 year, because I do love the idea of studying history, however we want to study it and whatever we want to study. So we're doing the Good and the Beautiful Unit 3 of Year 1 right now, which is the American history portion. I pulled out a George Washington book, The Heroes of Faith, George Washington book. We have not started that yet. I'm still finishing up The Witch of Blackbird Pond. I started reading aloud to my children one of the Choose Your Own Path, Choose Your Own Adventure history books, which I talked about in that video also. I showed all kinds of history children's books in this video, and so that's one of those, and we're just going with the flow. We're just gonna take it where we want to take it. You know, tonight as a family, we're gonna watch the Mel Gibson movie The Patriot, which is about the Revolutionary War. My daughters the other day wanted to watch the DVD on Sybil Ludington. So we're still kind of incorporating some of these movies that I mentioned in that video also. So yeah, I'm just enjoying like going with the flow. We do history about 2 times a week, and we do whatever we feel like doing that day, as long as it has to do with American history and the time period that we're focused on. And I will say I've only done about a week of the Good and the Beautiful history, and I do like it. I like the format of it. I like that it gives me something to read. There's a little audiobook portion that adds to it. There's been a little activity. I like the format of it. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do next year, but I am loving just doing whatever we feel like doing. And the way that I did that, kind of like a brain dump of history things we could do, so that if I can't think of something or it's going dry or something, I have a reference that I can look at. Make sure you like the video and comment below, what is your struggle during the mid-year? Like what have you changed, or what are you struggling with and you feel like you need to change? Science. I chose way too many science units. I didn't realize, I think I saw this somewhere, that the Good and the Beautiful recommends maybe 3, maybe 4 science units, and I think I bought 5. I bought way too many. We're not going through science very quickly. We've done about 1.5 units. The co-op that we're a part of, I didn't realize at the time, has science incorporated. So they're getting science in their co-op also. The funny thing is my daughters are more interested in history this year than they are in science. So that's kind of neat, because last year they were all about science. This year, they just want me to read aloud to them all the time, which I'm ecstatic about. I want my daughters to be more readers than I am. I'm not a typical homeschool mom. I'm not a devourer of books at all. If I get 1 or 2 books read a year, that's good for me. Bible and apologetics, how is that going? That's another one that hasn't gone quite as expected. So I did this video on the Bible curriculum that we use. That's solid. We do this every year. That's not a problem. The other things that I had chosen for apologetics that I did a video telling you guys we were going to do, which was Who is God and this Not Consumed study, we haven't touched either one of those yet, because when I went to this homeschool conference, I was introduced to a new apologetics curriculum called Foundations Worldview. My husband and I were so intrigued by this curriculum, we purchased it, and that is what we've been doing. And I am going to do a video review on that for you. It's very, very new. It's a very new curriculum, so you may not have heard of it, but it's teaching kids how to think critically about the things they're consuming, because we are to have a biblical worldview, right? But yet our culture, we're constantly bombarded by secular world thought, and it is actually also infiltrating the church. So this curriculum that we're doing is geared towards 8 to 12-year-olds, but they assured me at the conference that even as adults we would learn, and it would still be fine for my high schooler to be involved in, to think about. So we're doing it as a family. My husband is kind of in charge of that. It's not part of our regular homeschool day. We do it once a week at nighttime, and I will do a review on that for you and let you know what it's all about. I have to tell you how it's working with our daily checklists. I am going to be doing a video about this also, how I'm helping my daughters manage their daily to-dos, how it's going with my brand new penny pincher planner. So we're kind of in January, February, we've started a new thing here, and it's too much to explain in this video. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss how we're figuring out all the to-dos. And the last thing that I want to talk to you about is how it's going for high school. High school math, Shormann math, going very well. My son likes Shormann math. He's doing very well. I will say this about Shormann math. It is the very first few weeks of the Algebra 1 course. I had to solicit help from my two older brothers who are both very, very good at math. One of my brothers is a high school math teacher. There were some things even in this Algebra 1 course that I did not know. It's a very challenging course. Very good. And I like the fact that it is very similar to teaching textbooks in that it keeps the grades for you. Teaching textbooks is not the only curriculum online for junior high and high school that does the teaching and keeps the grades for you. So Shormann math working very well. Shormann science, my son is indifferent about this right now. I don't know if it's the subject, chemistry, that he's not getting, or if he doesn't like doing science online. So I'm going to dig deeper into that and figure out if we're going to do Shormann science again next year. I did buy him a lab supply kit so we could do all of the labs. I thought at the beginning of the year that the labs would maybe be once a week and that my daughters could watch him do it. It has not worked out that way at all. The lab is actually like almost every third lesson. And we just can't mesh our schedules together where my daughters are really able to be a part of it. So that's kind of been a bummer. I feel like in that way, my son's kind of off doing science on his own. I don't know if there's a solution to that. I know a lot of people who do apologia science. I started recently looking at the Compass Classroom website for high school courses for next year. They have a lot of interesting things. Kind of looking at their science, figuring out if that might be better. So I guess stay tuned, and I haven't figured it out yet. The Good and the Beautiful, I did a video, 12 things about the Good and the Beautiful that I did not realize. I like the Good and the Beautiful. I like the variety. Same thing with my 6th grader though. I'm not sure if I like how it's teaching writing. So I'm considering IEW again for next year, but I'm not sure yet. I'm pondering just like everybody else right now. So we will see. Latin is going well. Compass Classroom. I love Compass Classroom, okay? I love Compass Classroom. Latin is going well. The teacher is fantastic, and I like how they are referring him to like ways to practice the vocab through, I think, Quizlet online. He's enjoying like playing the games online to practice his vocab. Compass Classroom History. Love this history. Does my son love it though? My son is not as much in love with the history as I am, unfortunately. That doesn't mean that we're not going to do it next year. This history is so awesome. I sit in with my son on the videos. I love the instructor and the stories that he tells. They're so engaging. Now, I am a history lover. My son is not a history lover. I love how the instructor pulls in the spiritual perspective in every single lesson. This is like history presented in a way that I've never seen before. I love it, but it is a lot of work. It's a lot of hours, okay? I think the curriculum says that the whole curriculum is about 150 hours of work. For a high school credit, you only need 120 hours of work, and actually you need less than that. So 120 hours of planned work for the year, but then they will tell you you can get a credit for 80% completion. So 80% of 120 hours. So you do the math there. Compass Classroom has planned 150 hours of work, and yes, it is 150 hours of work. My son was kind of complaining to me the other day about how much time he was spending on the history, because the video is about 10 to 15 minutes. Then he has a daily assignment that takes him another 15 or 20 minutes. He has the portfolio that he has to work on every week, but he can't really work on it till the end of the week, because the portfolio is kind of like a scrapbook 2-page layout of a summary of what you learned that week. He told me he's spending 4 to 5 hours on that. He must be like really staring at the blank pages thinking, where do I even begin? What do I do? So some of that might just be him, and his pages are really nice. If you're a scrapbooker, my son could be a scrapbooker. He's doing that. And then they also have quarterly projects, and those quarterly projects are their additional time to be spent studying history. And you know what? The curriculum even suggests reading like more books, like novels. I didn't even add that in for my son. It's just a lot of work. We're in third quarter now, and my son is getting ready to do a research paper. When you think back when you're in high school, junior high, high school, how long it took you to do a research paper, and this is on top of his regular assignments and portfolio. So I'm kind of deciding whether or not we're actually going to do the fourth quarter project, which is called an hours project. I think it's like 40 more hours of studying something, because my son's gonna have all the hours in, and then I can give him a little bit longer for the research paper. So all that to say, Compass Classroom, I love it. I love how the stories are told and how the history is being taught from such a different way than I've ever seen history before. But it has a lot of hours planned, so I'll just leave it there with that. Are you thinking about next year's curriculum because it's January, February, or are you like me and like you never stop thinking about next year's curriculum? I will see things online or get these ideas, and I open up a note in my phone and I just start throwing the ideas in there. And that way when next year comes around and it's time to purchase, I say, well, what were all my ideas? That is so helpful, because sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I saw that, or I forgot that that was something that I wanted to look at later. So I highly suggest that. Use your notes app in your phone to keep track of all your ideas year round. So high school independence, how is it going? My son is definitely working independently. He works in the office because his dad's still working from home. He works in that same room with him, or he goes to his bedroom and works quietly in there. I am not enjoying our separation right now, but I feel like it's a two-edged sword. Like, of course, I want all my kids around me all the time, but at the same time, he has a lot of work. He needs quiet time in a quiet space. He's doing an excellent job planning out his work for the most part. He hasn't followed all of my deadlines, so I have to readjust. Like when I showed you guys how I help him plan his weekly work, I need to adjust some of those deadlines. But one thing about my son is also the days that I had planned for him to take off, he did not take the same Christmas break that the rest of us did. He kept plugging away because he doesn't like being behind. So he was trying to catch up. So he's pretty diligent. I'm pretty proud of him. He's a good worker. We need to work on him checking in with me more often, though, to check the quality of his work or to proofread his work. So we're still working on that. More videos that I have coming up for you besides the checklist, the planner, and the daily to-dos. I've also got lots of videos coming about high school. Like I said, I will dig deeper into most of these curriculums and give you an honest review at the end of the year. I have a comparison video for The Good and the Beautiful Language Arts 1 versus Master Books 1. I also am probably going to do a video with how I'm going to be modifying The Good and the Beautiful Language Arts 4, since my daughter needs more help with the process of writing a paper. If I integrate IEW there and how I'm going to do that, I will probably do a video about that. Let me know down below if you want to see creative ways to drill the math facts. In the meantime, if you haven't seen my other curriculum comparisons, check out this playlist. I have compared a lot of different curriculums